Hello class, this is Dr. Long again. I'm filming this brief video to give you some further insight into your term paper assignment. Now, I would highly urge you to read the term paper guideline that I have on D2L and that I've attached to the announcements and will send out by email and so forth. This guideline is very extensive. It lists all my requirements. It gives the due date for it, how you turn it in on the D2L Dropbox. It gives you extensive instructions and talks about the sources that you need to use for your paper as well. Now, this video will hopefully give you a little further insight to your term paper assignment. But again, I would urge you to read that document. That document also, by the way, tells you my grading standards, and at the very end of it has a rubric that I will use in D2L in part to grade your papers with. So the basics of the paper, it is a 5 to 7 page paper based on the Silk Roads, which is a very important and very interesting topic in world civilization, in ancient world civilization. For this paper, you will need to use two sources. The first source is a BBC documentary. It's fairly new on the Silk Roads. It's called The Silk Road, Where East Met West. Where a British professor goes from China, travels to Central Asia, all the way to Constantinople or Istanbul and to Venice. And I think you'll find it really interesting, and it will bring a lot of this alive and show you that a lot of these places and peoples that were involved in the Silk Roads were real, and there's still remnants and descendants of those people around today, and it's very, very interesting. So you'll need to watch that, and I do have the link to it on the guideline, so please go to the guideline and see the link. It's linked to the Films on Demand site with the GHC library. You should be able to watch it on your computer or your phone or what have you. There are 3 episodes, and I would encourage you to take notes of those as you read. Now, after you have done that, you also have a second source that you need to use, and it's very important. And this is a book. It's entitled, the author is Zhenru Liu, and the book's title is The Silk Roads, A Brief History with Documents. And let me just briefly show you what that book looks like. So that's the book. The full title is also on the term paper guideline. It's on the syllabus as well. That includes all the full publication information, the ISB number, and so forth. Now, you can get this, or you might be able to get it at the GHC bookstore. And what I mean by that is the GHC bookstore sells the book at the beginning of the semester. If you purchase it then, put it aside, you're good. And once you begin working on the term paper, you'll need to start reading it, certainly. If you did not purchase it at the beginning of the semester, the bookstore will often send them back to the bookseller, and they may or may not have it. So you can check at the bookstore. If it doesn't, though, if they don't no longer have the book, don't panic. You can order it at any online seller of books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. But if you don't have it, you need to go ahead and get it very, very soon. So to do the term paper, again, the guideline tells you all the specific requirements, but those are the 2 sources you need, the BBC documentary and the book. So go ahead and work on watching the documentary, taking notes as you go, and reading the book, and also taking notes as you go on it as well. Now, as the guideline states, you will need to cite from those sources, and the guideline lists specific minimum requirements for those citations. As you'll see, you'll need to use the Turabian citation style. The guideline goes into great detail on how to do so. Now, a few other important overall suggestions on how to write the term paper. Obviously, you'll need to watch the film, read the book first. Those are first things first. But as you'll see on the term paper guideline, you have 2 selections of topics that you can choose from. Choose one of those. Do not do both. That would be a major problem. Only do one. But what you'll see is you'll choose one topic or the other. There's 2. And it is comprised of a series of interlocking questions. And for that particular topic, you'll need to go through and answer all of those questions. And the more detail you can give, the more specific examples you can give, citing from the sources, the better you will do in answering those questions. If you write a paper that's very vague and doesn't have many citations, then you'll lose points accordingly. Your paper should be written in complete sentences. It should be in complete paragraphs. Make sure you indent. It's 5 to 7 pages. You'll need to double space using 12-point font. You'll need an introduction in which you introduce the topic. You have a thesis statement, and the guideline gives you some examples of that and some ideas. You also need a main body in which you go through and systematically answer the questions in each topic. You might find it useful to make an outline too. That's not required, but it's not a bad idea as it will help guide your paper. So an introduction with a thesis statement, a main body in which you go through and answer all the questions in the topic and give specific examples, and then a conclusion in which you wrap your paper up and restate your thesis statement to remind the reader of it. And the thesis statement is kind of something that you can refer to throughout your paper to reinforce your argument. Now, another important thing about your paper is it should be well written. And I will not grade your paper as stringently as an English professor. Nonetheless, if your paper is littered with grammatical errors, with spelling mistakes, you're not going to communicate very effectively, and you will lose points accordingly. So that is one of the criteria for your paper. And the best way to do that is obviously to use spell check and to correct mistakes, and to read your paper aloud. Proofread it. Read it aloud. You'll catch awkwardly worded sentences. You'll catch grammatical errors, spelling mistakes, even some that you can spell a word right on spell check and not use the right word, by the way, and you'll catch those if you read it aloud. So I would highly encourage you to proofread it in that manner. If you have someone who could help you, maybe to a roommate, a spouse, anyone who might read it for you, sometimes a second set of eyes can catch those kind of mistakes as well. And last but not least, I do have a link on the guideline and the announcement. The Tutorial Center can help you as well. And if you would like me to read a draft, even a partial draft, I'd be happy to provide you some feedback, as long as you give me enough lead time to do so. Now, last but not least, do make sure that you give yourself enough time to do that. And obviously, budgeting your time management is a key skill to build in an online course. It's essential to your success. So don't start this the night before. I think you'll find it a very interesting topic, but it is a little complex. And it's certainly not set up in a way that you can do everything the night before. So you need to start working on this early. The earlier the better, really. I think that'll cut some of the stress out. At a minimum, if you can watch the films and read the book early, that'll make it easier to write your paper closer to the deadline. So don't wait until the last minute, and do proof it before you turn it in, and those should definitely improve your grade. But again, do refer back to the term paper guideline. That gives you extensive instructions and should help out tremendously. Now, if you have questions, you have concerns, please contact me. Email, of course, is the best way, but I'd be happy to talk with you by phone or over Zoom or anything like that if that helps out too. But just stay in contact, and I hope you learn a lot. I hope you find this interesting, and best of luck on the paper. All right, well, I'll stop the video now. Thanks for watching.